Let's get straight to the point. Number 8. The primate freefall panic. Look at you, trying to drift off peacefully like you actually deserve rest after the train wreck of decisions you call a day. You're just about to cross into dreamland when, bam, your entire body convulses like you've been tased by an invisible cop. Your legs kick out, your arms flail, and you jolt awake gasping like a fish thrown onto hot pavement. You probably think you were dreaming about falling off a cliff, right? Wrong. Your brain isn't trying to entertain you with action sequences. Here's the deal. Your primitive brainstem thinks you're literally dying and decides to shock you back to life like some demented empt with anger management issues. Scientists call this a hypnic jerk, and it happens during the hypnagogic transition between wakefulness and sleep. As you relax, your breathing slows and your muscles go limp. Your reticular formation, the ancient reptilian part of your brain that kept your tree-swinging ancestors from becoming saber-tooth snacks, misinterprets this relaxation as you falling out of a tree or, dying. So it fires a massive electrical signal through your motor cortex to save you from a threat that doesn't exist. Here's the scary part. Frequent hypnic jerks mean your nervous system is fried from stress and caffeine. Each jolt floods your system with cortisol and adrenaline when you should be producing melatonin. You're literally training your body to fear sleep, creating a Pavlovian response where your bed becomes associated with electrical torture. Over time, this leads to chronic insomnia and sleep anxiety disorders. It's like your brain is a paranoid security guard who sees a shadow and decides to detonate a flashbang grenade in the lobby just to be safe. You're a malfunctioning biological machine that can't even power down without setting off internal alarms. Cut the caffeine after 2 p.m. and stop scrolling your phone in bed like a digital zombie. Your nervous system needs to chill before it gives you a heart attack. Number 7. The nocturnal swamp factory. You wake up at 3 a.m. shivering, yet somehow you're absolutely drenched in your own bodily secretions. Your sheets are plastered to your back like wet tissue paper, your pillow feels like a soggy sponge, and you smell like a gym locker that hasn't been cleaned since the Clinton administration. Look at you, marinating in your own juices like some kind of human slow cooker experiment. You think you just had too many blankets on? That's adorable, but wrong. Here's the deal. This isn't about your duvet being too thick. Your autonomic nervous system is having a complete meltdown, and you're leaking vital fluids because your internal thermostat is more broken than your life choices. Scientists call this nocturnal hyperhidrosis, and it happens because your hypothalamus, your brain's thermostat, loses its mind during REM sleep. Your core temperature naturally drops during sleep as part of your circadian rhythm, but your body sometimes overshoots the cooling process. During REM sleep, you enter a state called poikilothermy, where temperature regulation becomes impaired. If your cortisol levels are elevated from chronic stress, your sympathetic nervous system overrides the natural cool-down and triggers excessive sweating to prevent overheating. Here's the scary part. You're not just losing water, you're creating a bacterial breeding ground. Marinating in sweat for hours disrupts your skin's acid mantle, creating perfect conditions for fungal infections, cystic acne, and antibiotic-resistant bacteria colonies. The dehydration also thickens your blood, forcing your heart to work harder when it should be resting. You're literally fermenting in a stew of salt, urea, and dead skin cells. Picture yourself as a rotisserie chicken wrapped in plastic and left on a radiator overnight. You're slowly cooking in your own biological waste products. Keep your room at 65-68 degrees, get breathable sheets, and stop turning your bedroom into a tropical biohazard zone. Use your brain for once. Number 6. The cortisol alarm clock from hell. Your eyes snap open. You check the clock. 3 a.m. Exactly. Not 3:01, not 2:59, 3:00 on the dot, like your body has been programmed by some sadistic internal scheduler. You feel wired, anxious, and completely alert, staring at the ceiling while your heart pounds like you just sprinted up 10 flights of stairs. You're wide awake in the dead of night, like some kind of sleep-deprived vampire. Here's the truth. You think this is random, but it's not. Your body is dumping stress hormones into your bloodstream because it thinks you're under attack. You're not naturally an early riser, you're chemically imbalanced, and your adrenal glands are staging a 3am mutiny against your sanity. This is your HPA axis, pituitary adrenal axis, having a complete nervous breakdown. Normally, cortisol should be at rock bottom around midnight and gradually rise toward morning. But your dysregulated adrenal glands, fried from chronic stress and caffeine abuse, are misfiring like a broken smoke detector. Around 3 a.m., your blood sugar naturally dips due to fasting. To compensate, your body releases a spike of cortisol and adrenaline to liberate glucose from your liver. This chemical cocktail hits your brain like mainlining espresso. Here's the scary part. This 3 a.m. cortisol surge is a precursor to metabolic collapse. You're keeping your body in chronic inflammation, destroying your insulin sensitivity, and actively shrinking your hippocampus, the brain region responsible for memory formation. Each night you do this, you're making yourself dumber, fatter, and more anxious. You're speedrunning diabetes and dementia simultaneously. Your body is like a fire alarm that goes off every time you try to toast bread, except the bread is sleep and the alarm is permanently stuck on maximum volume. Eat a small protein snack before bed to stabilize blood sugar, or just stop living like a cortisol-fueled anxiety machine. Try basic self-care for once. Number 5. The chemical straitjacket nightmare. You wake up, but you can't move. You try to scream, but your mouth won't open. There's a crushing weight on your chest, and you swear you see a dark figure lurking in the corner, watching you with malevolent intent. You're trapped in your own body, fully conscious but completely helpless, like being buried alive in a coffin made of your own flesh. Spoiler alert, the shadow demon isn't real, and you're not being possessed by ancient spirits. Here's the deal. You're experiencing sleep paralysis, which happens when your brain wakes up but forgets to unlock your body. You're essentially trapped in a biological prison because your neurology is glitching like a corrupted operating system. During REM sleep, your brainstem releases neurotransmitters like glycine and GABA to create REM atonia, complete muscle paralysis that prevents you from acting out dreams and punching your partner in the face. Sometimes your consciousness comes online before this chemical lockdown wears off. Your amygdala, sensing your helplessness, goes into full panic mode and generates terrifying hallucinations to explain why you can't move. Your visual cortex creates shadow figures while your auditory cortex manufactures whispers and footsteps. Here's the scary part. While the paralysis is temporary, the psychological trauma can be permanent. The sheer terror of these episodes creates severe sleep anxiety. You start dreading sleep itself, which leads to sleep deprivation, which ironically causes more sleep paralysis. It's a feedback loop of neurological torture. Studies show people with chronic sleep paralysis have higher rates of panic disorders and PTSD. Think of it as being trapped in a malfunctioning escape room where the locks are your own neurons and the horror movie is being projected directly onto your retinas by your panicked brain. Focus on wiggling one finger or toe to break the paralysis. Stop sleeping on your back, maintain regular sleep schedules, and maybe address whatever stress is frying your nervous system. Number 4. The Midnight Dehydration Death March. You wake up gasping with your tongue welded to the roof of your mouth like it's been superglued there. Your throat feels like you've been gargling with broken glass and sand. You stumble to the bathroom and drink directly from the faucet like a dehydrated animal, wondering how you went from normal human to desiccated corpse in 8 hours. You think you're just thirsty? Wrong. This is hormonal failure on a cellular level. Your body is supposed to retain water during sleep so you don't have to interrupt your rest every 2 hours. But because your biological clock is more broken than your sleep schedule, you're rapidly dehydrating into human jerky. This disaster is controlled by arginine vasopressin, your antidiuretic hormone. In functional humans, AP levels spike at night, signaling your kidneys to reabsorb water instead of flushing it down the toilet. But your erratic lifestyle has shattered your circadian rhythm, so AB production fails. Your kidneys keep filtering at daytime rates while you mouth breathe like a broken vacuum cleaner, evaporating what little saliva you have left. Here's the scary part. Chronic nocturnal dehydration doesn't just make you thirsty, it's actively destroying you from the inside. Thickened blood increases stroke and heart attack risk during early morning hours. Meanwhile, your dried-out mouth becomes a bacterial playground. Saliva contains antimicrobial enzymes that protect your teeth and gums. Without it, acid-producing bacteria feast on your enamel while you sleep, rotting your mouth from the inside out. Your mouth is like a fish tank where someone forgot to add water but left all the fish food. Everything is dying while the bacteria throw a decomposition party. Hydrate throughout the day instead of chugging water at bedtime like a camel. Tape your mouth shut if you have to stop breathing like a pug with a deviated septum. Number 3. The auditory cortex explosion. You're drifting off peacefully when crash. A gunshot, cymbal crash, or bomb detonation goes off right inside your skull. You bolt upright, heart hammering, checking every window and door for intruders. But the house is silent. You're the only one who heard it. You sit there shaking, convinced your brain is finally short-circuiting into madness. Here's the deal. You're not losing your mind well, the jury's still out on that, but you are experiencing exploding head syndrome. Yes, that's the actual medical term. It sounds fake, but it's as real as your inability to function like a normal human being. This isn't an external sound, it's your brain misfiring neurons like a faulty electrical panel. Scientists believe this occurs when your reticular formation glitches during the transition from wakefulness to NREM sleep. Normally, sensory neurons shut down gradually as you fall asleep. In your case, there's a delay followed by sudden, simultaneous firing of neurons in your auditory processing centers. It's like your brain's volume control is broken. Instead of slowly turning down the sound, it yanks the power cord, causing massive feedback. Here's the scary part. While the phantom explosion won't kill you, your reaction might. The adrenaline surge and cardiac stress from repeated episodes can damage your cardiovascular system over time. Worse is the psychological toll. You develop anticipatory anxiety about falling asleep, keeping your brain hyper-alert, which makes the neuronal misfiring more likely. You're training yourself to fear unconsciousness. It's like having a smoke detector that randomly screams at maximum volume inside a library, except the library is your skull and there's no off switch. Reduce stress levels and practice relaxation techniques before bed. Your brain is literally exploding with anxiety. Maybe listen to what it's trying to tell you. Number 2. The 3M existential crisis generator. It's 3 a.m. and you're lying there replaying every embarrassing moment from the past decade. That weird thing you said to your boss in 2019? Front and center. Your career trajectory? Questionable at best. The meaning of your existence? Completely absent. You're having a full-blown existential meltdown while your partner snores peacefully, blissfully unaware that you're mentally cataloging every failure of your pathetic life. Spoiler alert, your life isn't actually falling apart more than usual. The problem is your smart brain is offline while your dumb brain is driving the emotional bus straight into a brick wall. You're trying to solve complex life problems with the emotional intelligence of a terrified toddler having a tantrum in the cereal aisle. This neurological nightmare happens because your prefrontal cortex, responsible for logic, reasoning, and impulse control, has reduced metabolic activity during sleep. Meanwhile, your amygdala, the primitive fear center, remains hyperactive during REM cycles. Without rational oversight, your amygdala runs wild, turning minor concerns into catastrophic scenarios. Your brain's default mode network starts chewing on unresolved stress, amplifying negative thoughts without the cognitive tools to process them rationally. Here's the scary part. You're literally rewiring your brain for anxiety and depression. Each 3M rumination session strengthens neural pathways associated with catastrophic thinking. The cortisol spikes from nocturnal anxiety kill brain cells and prevent restorative sleep. You're engaging in self-destructive neuroplasticity, training your mind to associate nighttime with psychological torture. Your brain at 3 a.m. is like letting a drunk chimpanzee pilot a passenger jet while the actual pilot is unconscious. You're trusting a panicked, irrational system to navigate complex emotional terrain. Write your worries down and deal with them when your rational brain is online. Your 3M thoughts are about as reliable as a chocolate teapot. Number 1. The glymphatic system shutdown. You wake up at 3 a.m. feeling like your brain has been stuffed with wet concrete. Your thoughts move like molasses, your head feels heavy, and trying to form coherent ideas is like trying to solve calculus while underwater. You think you can just power through and be productive? You're interrupting the most critical maintenance your brain performs. You absolute genius. Here's the deal. You feel like your brain is mush because it literally is. At 3 a.m., your brain is in the middle of a deep cleaning cycle, and by waking up now, you're essentially unplugging the dishwasher while it's full of toxic sludge. Your neurons are drowning in their own waste products because you can't stay unconscious for 8 consecutive hours like a functional organism. This is your glymphatic system, your brain's waste disposal network that only operates during deep sleep. Your glial cells shrink by up to 60%, creating channels between neurons that allow cerebrospinal fluid to flush out metabolic toxins. Specifically, it clears beta-amyloid plaques and tau proteins, the toxic garbage that accumulates from normal brain activity. This process is most active during slow-wave sleep phases, which occur primarily in the first half of the night. Here's the terrifying part. If you chronically wake up at 3 a.m. and interrupt this cellular housekeeping, those neurotoxins accumulate in your brain tissue. Beta-amyloid plaques are the hallmark of Alzheimer's disease and dementia. By fragmenting your sleep, you're allowing toxic protein sludge to build up in your gray matter, slowly killing neurons and destroying your cognitive future. You're not just tired, you're actively inducing brain damage through sleep negligence. Imagine your brain as a sponge soaking in contaminated sewage water. Sleep squeezes out the toxins. Waking up now is like deciding to keep the sewage for another day because you're too impatient to let the cleaning cycle finish. Go back to sleep immediately. Let your brain's janitors finish cleaning before you rot from the inside out like a neglected piece of fruit. All right, you sleep-deprived disasters. That's the list. Now that you know your body is basically a malfunctioning biological theme park at 3 a.m., maybe stop ignoring these warning signs and fix your catastrophic sleep hygiene. Smash that like button because your brain needs all the dopamine it can get after learning about its own failures. Hit subscribe because apparently you need someone to explain basic human biology to you like you're a confused houseplant. Share this with someone who wakes up every night looking like they've been through a blender. I'm Coolest Dudes, and I'll see you next time, assuming your body doesn't completely malfunction before then.